And there we go. So we are joined today by guest speaker Sarah Bartlett. I met Sarah for the first time 2 years ago at the Tableau conference in Europe, where she competed on the final stage of Ironviz Europe. And I was instantly impressed both with her whole demeanor, her confidence, her generosity towards the community, as well as with her technical skills. She has since been awarded the title of Tableau Zen Master, and I'm very, very happy that we could get her to join us today. So over to you, Sarah.
Hi, Heidi. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully you can see that.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Yep. Okay, brilliant. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited because I think this is the first time I've spoken at a Data Plus Women event specifically. So really exciting, and thank you, Heidi, for the opportunity. So today I'm going to be talking about skills for success, tips to help you become a better data analyst. So just a little bit about me. So Heidi's already given me a great introduction, so thank you for that. So looking at Slalom, based in London. I live just outside of coronavirus lockdown, strange at the same time. But I'm a Tableau Zen Master, so I became a Zen Master in February this year. Still haven't quite got my head around that. Still seems just a crazy thing to happen to me. I'm also a Tableau Social Ambassador. I've been an ambassador for around 2 years now. I'm a co-leader of the London Tableau user group, and I'm also on Twitter, so you can find me at Sarah Loves Data, and my website as well is sarahlovesdata.co.uk. I'm going to share those links at the end again, so no need to rush to write them down if you haven't already. So just a bit about my professional background. So I studied international business and economics at university, and then since then I've been working in data and analytics related roles for around about 12 years. I was introduced to Tableau 6 years ago when I was working as a senior MI analyst, and in that role we had a new head of BI that came in and said everyone needs to learn Tableau. So I got sent on a 2-day Tableau training course, and I think to date that's the only formal Tableau training that I've had. And I didn't know what Tableau was before that. Prior to that, I was using Excel predominantly, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But in the last 3 years, I've been in consulting, specifically around Tableau and data visualization. I'm a Tableau certified associate, so I got that in 2018. I'm a Tableau certified professional, which I got in 2019, and I've been running the London Tableau user group as a co-leader since 2016 as well. You may be familiar with some of the work that I've got on Tableau Public. So here's a selection of some of my vizzes. I think I've got around 150 on there now. So I've been quite busy over the years. But a lot of these are like quick visits, like Makeover Mondays and things like that. I've got a whole variety of different topics covered. So the beauty of doing community projects like Makeover Monday is that it's a different topic every week. So I've covered all kinds of different things. I've also got things on there that I'm quite passionate about, like music. So the Stormzy viz that I did, he's a rapper from the UK. I thought that would be quite fun. And then the one on the right-hand side is the one that I entered into Ironviz Europe, which Heidi just mentioned. So that was my feeder viz that got me a place on stage. So I'll begin where my journey began, which was with Excel. I used to absolutely love Excel. My whole world evolved around Excel, and I'm sure many of you have been in a similar situation as well. I used to build dashboards in Excel that looked like this, and I thought that was fantastic, and I was really proud of these. This isn't my actual dashboard, but it's something that looks very similar to something I would have produced back then. So Tableau was quite revolutionary for me when I went on that training course, and I left the training course pretty much feeling like this, thinking that Tableau is amazing. It's going to change my life and all that kind of thing. I had no prior experience officially with data visualization or anything before that. So this was all new to me at the same time, but I found quickly that while I enjoyed the training, I struggled to apply what I'd learned in the training to my job. So it wasn't long before I kind of felt a little bit like this, where it's just like, I don't want to use Tableau anymore. I don't know how to use it. It's just not for me. It's too hard. The team that I was in, I was the only analyst. So I was the only person using Tableau there. There was not really any requirement for me to use Tableau. So the person who'd sent me on the training was in a different team in a different office. And they weren't really driving much of a community or anything like that around the tool, or really making sure people were using it. So I actually defaulted back to Excel because I was comfortable with it. I was more in my comfort zone there. But then I thought, I started following the community on Twitter and things like that, following some Tableau blogs. And this was quite a while ago. The community around Tableau, if you're familiar with that, it's probably worth learning. So I actually did a lot of self-learning. So I started learning Tableau in the evenings after waiting in community project, my skill set and got about in this talk. So public viz, it was made, I think this was in like week, probably, I think that was around about 2016. But I was terrified of publishing this viz on Tableau Public. I thought, what if someone comments on it? What if someone says I've done something wrong? Like, I was really, really scared. And I know this is quite a basic viz, but like, I was still scared. It took me ages to put together, and it was just, it just wasn't a very fun experience for me. Now, I must have built up some confidence in that first week, because the second week I published this, which in my opinion is even worse. And I can call out so many things that are wrong with this viz. It doesn't resemble anything like what I would publish today. And I think it's quite clear from looking at this that I wasn't really aware of like data best practice or like design principles or anything like that. And a lot of the things I did here, I thought were adding things that would be really fun and would make people want to engage with the viz. So the topic here is about the funfair, and I added like carousels to the end of the bars, and I made my line chart look like a roller coaster, or at least in my head it looked like a roller coaster, and I just thought it was really cool. But thankfully I've since learned the errors of my ways. And hopefully I can teach you some tips as well to help you become a better analyst too. So just going from this one to my most recent viz, which I published a few weeks ago. This is also a Make for Monday. I built this, I built the background of this in Figma, which is a design tool that I use sometimes. It's free. I'm still very new to it, and I figured everything out just by using it myself. So I highly recommend you go and have a look at that. But the chart itself is built in Tableau. And yeah, I think it goes to show that I obviously have come a long way since my first or second visualizations. Now, obviously, I want you to become a better analyst and advance your career in data visualization. So I've got about 9 tips for you to help you do that. So number 1, before I get to number 1, actually, I'm going to talk about the data visualization skills triangle. So I learned this from Will Chase. Will is on Twitter. He's famous in the R community and also in the Data Visualization Society, which I'll talk about later. But Will says that there's kind of 3 key skills that a data visualization kind of analyst needs to have, and that's be familiar with data, design, and tools. And let me go into those 3 things in a little bit more detail. I think it will make a little bit more sense. So in terms of data, to be good at data visualization, you need to have an understanding of data and be comfortable with things like data collection, data wrangling, data structures, basic statistics, and just being able to tell a story and evaluate a hypothesis with data. And now it's worth saying at this point, you don't need to be an expert in all of these things. It's just you need to have an understanding of them. So if you understand data and you're really good at statistics, but you have no idea how to use a data visualization tool or even Excel, you're going to struggle to be a person who's in data visualization. Likewise, if you're good with data and you're good with, let's say, Tableau or Power BI, but you've got no idea about design, just like me back at my second viz, you're going to struggle as well to make something that looks good. So these things are important. So when it comes to design, I think the key skills for someone who's working in data viz would be understanding layouts, fonts, colors, and which colors to use, and just general user experience principles. And then with tools, that's actually like the tool that you would use to visualize the data. So that's having familiarity with tools like Tableau, Power BI, or Excel, which actually make it quite easy to build visualizations. And then maybe more hands-on, like kind of coding tools like D3JS or ggplot, R, Python, or even just pen and paper. Like someone like Mona Chalabi, her tool is pen and paper. So you don't necessarily need to be a technical person or have an understanding of any of these technical tools or coding languages. I wouldn't say I'm technical at all. I'd say my strongest point is probably in design and the tools piece. I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm a very good data wrangler or anything like that, but I know enough to get by, and I know enough that doesn't warrant me from, stopping me from doing anything. So just bear those things in mind as I talk around these skills and ways to learn. So number one is, I'd say, master the basics. And this is regardless of which tool you're using. I think it's important that you understand how to use it, at least for a basic understanding of that. So I've included some links here to some free training resources. And most of what I share in this talk is focused on free resources. I don't believe you should spend a great deal of money to learn. I personally haven't. I've been lucky that I've managed to get a lot of my training for free, whether that be free work or just by utilizing things that I see online. And it's amazing how much you can actually get for free or for very little online as well. And everyone learns differently, so just bear that in mind, so that you might, some people may be more comfortable doing things on their own, and some people may be more comfortable and learn better doing things in a class. So obviously only do the things that are best suited to you. But I'd say try and utilize free training resources offered by the company that actually makes the tool where possible. So like Tableau have online trainings. They're lots of bite-sized videos that they offer which go into detail on specific points, so you don't have to watch hours upon hours of training. You can just focus in on those points that you want to improve your skills on. Power BI have something very similar, and they have like learning journeys on there, so you can go and master the tool that way. And there's some really good sites like DataCamp and freecodecamp.org, which help you learn more data science and coding skills, things like SQL, Python, and R, as well as other things. I think DataCamp actually has some modules on Tableau and Power BI as well, but they're free and they're really good resources to utilize if you can. If that's not for you, obviously you can attend a formal training class. I know we live in a slightly different world at the moment where most training has been taken online, but you can do that either maybe free work, just online by enrolling yourself, or even look out for some classes that are run by user groups or like this one, or meetups, as I know of some in London where they actually offer free training or training at a very reduced cost, and that will be in a group either online or in person. And obviously then you can attend courses online through things like Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, or Coursera. And quite often they have special offers on where you can enroll on a course for about £10. So not very much at all. And you may find that training that's more structured works better for you. And in terms of mastering the basics as well, what I found was really beneficial for my journey was just studying best practice in data presentation. So data storytelling and how to present data in a way that people are going to understand. And one site that I find really useful for this is the Storytelling with Data community and the online platform that's run by Cole Nussbaum and Affleck. I have a link to it down here, but if you go on there, there's so many resources that teach you things about best practices and just learning how to present data well. Okay, so moving on to number 2, I'd say practice regularly. And again, regardless of which tool you use, it's practice is really important. Some of the one way of getting good experience and what worked for me was actually, so I've included for community projects down here. Admittedly, a lot of these are ones run by the Tableau Sorry, I just lost my connection.
No worries.
I'm going to keep my video off, so just in case. Hopefully you can see my screen. Okay, yeah, so you don't need to use Tableau to participate in these community projects. You can use any tool that you like for the most part. But I'd say before picking a project, I'd say it would be good to have a combination of different projects. So pick projects that are quite small scale, so quick, easy ones like Make of a Monday that are designed for you to produce a visualization quickly, maybe in an hour or two, and also pick larger projects as well. And I think with larger projects, I'd say try and pick something that you're passionate about. And it could be like visualizing something like music or your favorite band or your favorite movie or TV show or anything like that, but something that requires you to actually go and gather data yourself, clean that data, get it into the right shape, and then actually go away and visualize it and build a story. Because I think, one, if it's something that you're interested in, it's going to be a lot more fun. And two, if you're doing that full end to end, where you're gathering the data right through to presenting it, you're going to learn more skills along the way. And I think I've learned personally the most from those larger projects. And you can run these both at the same time, right? So I've always got lots of projects on the go, and a lot of them are larger, long-running ones, but I might do smaller ones in between just to break it up. So like I said, I do Make of a Monday quite frequently, not as much as I used to, but I still do dip in if it's something that I'm interested in. I actually founded a project called Iron Quest, and that's focused around the Iron Viz competition, particularly the feeders. So every month we visualize a different topic, and these are quite broad topics. So maybe we could visualize sea creatures, for instance, and you can visualize anything around that topic that you wish. And there's other projects out there, such as Workout Wednesday, which is specific to Tableau, and that's designed to help you just further your Tableau skills in a more technical way. So the way that it works is you look at a completed visualization and you have to then kind of reverse engineer it and figure out the calculations that were used to get the visualization to the completed state. And if you get stuck, obviously they can then look back at what the leaders did and also watch solution videos to see like exactly how they applied those techniques. And I guarantee you'd learn a lot from participating in that. And there's also projects such as Project Health Viz, which is run by Lindsay Betzendahl, which focuses on visualizing health data, and that's a monthly project, so there's a new data set every month. There's Sports Viz Sunday, which I think the name says it all, but it focuses on visualizing sports data. And there's also Tidy Tuesday, which is a project for the R community, which again focuses on a different topic every week, where you go away and visualize that data using R. And just an example from Make of a Monday, so in case you haven't come across this project before, it's one that's particularly close to my heart, and I know I've mentioned it a few times already, but with Make of a Monday, what happens is a data set is published on a Sunday, and that data set is usually derived from a visualization that the leaders have seen, maybe online or in print. And the example on the left here is just one from a few years ago. And usually the visualizations that they pick are not so great, so they could be improved in some way, hence the name Makeover. So the idea is you take that data and actually build something better. So here on the right are some examples of how the community visualized this particular data set that was originally used to build that stack bar chart. So as you can see that everyone did it differently. There's lots of different techniques applied. And you can learn so much, not only from participating in this project, but also at looking what other people do and just seeing new ways of visualizing the same data. And the beauty with a tool like Tableau is that you can actually go onto Tableau Public and download people's workbooks and kind of see how they built their visualizations. And just reverse engineering is, I find, a really great way to learn new techniques. Okay, so number 3 is to ask the right questions of your data. So what do I mean by this? So it's all well and good having a hypothesis and say, I want to visualize X, but it's also good to ask questions of your data just to make sure that it's right. Okay, so that's things like asking yourself, is my data source trustworthy? Is my data complete? Or can this data actually help answer my questions, or do I need additional data? I think these questions are relevant regardless of what data you're looking at, whether that be for work or for fun. You need to make sure that you have an understanding of these things, and you are asking yourself these questions before you embark on a project. And I think it's also important that you understand the limits of your data, and how you can avoid making mistakes by visualizing that data. Because if your data set isn't trustworthy, then your visualization isn't going to be trustworthy, and you run the risk of kind of putting the wrong message out there. There's two books I'd like to recommend on this topic. So there's How Charts Lie by Alberto Cairo, which talks around how to make good charts and what to avoid and things to think about when you're visualizing data so you don't make a mistake inadvertently, and Avoiding Data Pitfalls, which is similar. So how to visualize data effectively and avoid making common mistakes. And I think it's really good that you have an understanding of these principles to be good at data visualization. Okay, so number 4 is study design fundamentals. And this is all around just learning how to visualize data effectively. Now, it's worth noting at this point that traditional design teaching, such as web design or graphic design, those principles don't always apply to data viz. Data viz is a kind of a whole like skill set of its own, and it has its own design principles that apply to it. So you may find a lot of information online or in books around web design or graphic design, and some of those principles will ring true regardless, but there's some specifics around data visualization and the presentation of data that are slightly different. So there's some good resources that I've listed on the screen here, which have personally helped me, and I think that they're worth exploring. So there's Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman, which is a book around just how things are designed and how you can look for good design. There's a book called Practical Typography by Matthew Butternick. That's actually a book that you can get online. It's free, and the link is included in this presentation, which I'll share at the end. The Big Book of Dashboards by Steve Rexler, Jeffrey Schaefer, and Andy Cockgreave is one of my favorite books, and it is essentially what it says on the tin, a big book of dashboards. But it's a really good source of inspiration if you do build dashboards, particularly like work dashboards, and just things to think about when you're putting those together and different kind of techniques you can apply there. One of my favorite books as well is Storytelling with Data by Cole Nussbaum and Knaflic. That one is around just how to tell data stories and present your data effectively. And there's a really good blog by Sam Parsons called Reflections in Design. So Sam is a data viz practitioner, but he also writes a blog specifically around design, and that covers things like how to use the right typeface, color, layouts and that kind of thing, and how to be effective when working in data viz. So I'd recommend you have a look at that. Okay, number 5 is publish your work. So don't be like me. Don't be like me. I was really scared to publish my first viz. I'd say please do publish your work, share it. So if you're using Tableau, that could be through something like Tableau Public. And there's obviously other ways you can publish your work using different tools as well. But most data visualization tools have a way of you sharing that work more widely. Don't be afraid to share your work on social media as well, whether that be through Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or even Pinterest. There's lots of different ways you can share your work and help get people to see it. And now the more people that see your work, the more feedback you might get. And I'd say if you want feedback, then explicitly state that in a tweet or a LinkedIn post, because you'll be amazed of the kind of feedback you can get. I know personally when I was first getting started, and even now, I found the feedback that I got was really, really helpful for me. And it actually like pointed out things that I hadn't noticed in my work that I was able to go back and actually iterate on. So feedback is really important. So please do share your work and don't just kind of work in a bubble where no one sees the outputs of that. It's really good that you show progression in your work as well. So if you look at my Tableau Public profile and look at those visits that I did at the beginning, I've obviously kind of come a long way since then, and you can see that through looking at my profile and how I've improved over time and kind of challenged myself to do new things. So I think it's really important that you show that growth and progression through your work, and that you're constantly improving in everything that you do. And another good way of sharing your work, and something slightly different, is to actually create a visual CV to kind of show like your skills, but in a kind of CV sense, like a career sense. So you can actually like create a visualization like this one by Maria Brock, where she's shown kind of all her professional experience and education, passion projects, her hobbies and that kind of thing in a visual form. And this can be really nice if you're looking for a job, to actually kind of put your skills to practice, and use this to accompany a traditional like written CV. And it's a really good, obviously, if we're working data visualization, it's good that we apply our skills in a relevant way to share with employers. If you're interested in these kind of things, there's actually a folder with lots of different examples on Tableau Public and the gallery. They're called visual resumes. So definitely check that out for more inspiration. Number 6 is engage with the community. Now, this is any community around data visualization. That could be through joining a meetup or user group. If you're here today at this Data Plus Women group, I think you've already nailed this one. But if you're struggling for inspiration, or you just don't know where these user groups exist or if they exist at all, I suggest looking at some of the links I've included at the top. So if you're interested in Tableau, Tableau have a group all about user groups, and you can type in your location and it will tell you your closest user groups. Power BI have something very similar. And then there's R and R Ladies, where again, they have something very similar. You can go on there and see a list of all the user groups around the world. You can engage with it through the community, I find, through Twitter, and just by following people that work in data. There's a hashtag, DataFam, that I think was invented by the Tableau community. That's a good one to follow. If you start looking for people that tweet that, you'll find more data people. Just look for people that are kind of maybe putting hashtag data or DataFam in their work, or DataViz even, and you'll find more and more people that way. Another great way of finding people that work in this field is by joining the Data Visualization Society. So the Data Visualization Society is a huge community of data visualization practitioners on Slack. And on Slack, they have different channels based on different interests. So you can go on there, and if you've got a particular interest in, let's say, healthcare data, you can join a Slack channel all about that, or data literacy, or teaching data, or just general. And there's also channels on there where you can actually go and share your work. You can seek feedback. There's channels for people looking for jobs. It's just everything. It's a really vibrant kind of place, and they have some really great conversations on there. I think there's always a different topic of conversation every week that you can join in with. And that's a great way of meeting people as well. I'd say if you want to engage and improve your skills, a good way of doing that is to find a mentor. I've used different mentors throughout my career, and I found it really beneficial for that extra support. If you're struggling to find a mentor, don't really know where to go, mentoringmeetup.com is a website that was put together by Mark Bradburn, which has a list of mentors and a list of mentees, which you can add yourself to, and also you can look through the list of mentors and actually reach out to people to ask them if they're interested in mentoring you, if they're available. And that's a really great resource. I've personally found people to mentor through that website, and it's been a really great experience. And I've mentioned it before, but please do check out the Storytelling with Data community, because that's really growing to become something really great. You can go on there and practice data visualization exercises. You can share your work on there and seek feedback. You can actually give other people feedback as well. And again, there's lots of different conversations going on in there that are really interesting and really help you. So definitely check that out. And it's 100% free as well, which is great. And just an example of how powerful the community is, this is a few responses to a tweet that was sent by Maria Brock, and it related to a question she asked about SQL. She basically said, where can I learn SQL? I need to learn it. And these are all the responses that she got. And it's just, it's amazing that Twitter is an amazing place. I know it gets some bad credit sometimes, but it is really, really powerful. If you go on there and ask a question about something data or data biz related, you will get a lot of responses. So just bear that in mind if you're not 100% sold on Twitter today. Okay, number 7 is get certified. So I think it's really important that we get certified and kind of prove our skills. So I personally didn't get certified in Tableau, which is like my main focus area, until I'd been using it for around about 4 years. And that's because I was just actually quite scared of sitting the exam. I was scared that I would fail and it would look bad on me at work. But I'm so glad that I did actually do it eventually, and I didn't fail, thankfully, on the first attempt. But don't underestimate yourself. Definitely, if you're putting in all this work, it's worth getting certified. And a certification can certainly boost your CV. So if you're looking for a job, a certification may definitely help you like stand out from the crowd. And it's a way of proving your skills as well. So it's all well and good saying, you know, I can do this thing, but having a certification actually proves it. And that's always something that's good to show a prospective employer. Also, even if you're not doing it to get a new job or for a work reason, getting certified, it actually helps you test your knowledge and fill in any gaps you may have. So I found when I was studying for the Tableau certifications that I has actually had some quite big knowledge gaps, where things I'd never used, I didn't know how to use them. And I just never had a requirement to use these things in my daily work. So it was good for me when I was studying to actually go and explore those things and fill in any gaps that I had. And the great thing about getting certified is quite often you can earn like e-badges or swag, t-shirts, that kind of thing. So that's a nice kind of benefit of getting certified as well. If you're interested in Tableau certifications, there's three main ones for Tableau Desktop. So the Specialist, which is kind of like the entry-level exam. It's just 1 hour long, 30 multiple choice questions. Normally it costs $100, but if you register before the end of this month, you can actually get it at 50% off. And the great thing about this one is that it never expires. So you always have that to your name. And then the next one up is Associate, but you don't need to do the Specialist before doing Associate. So you could go in straight at Associate level. And again, that's a multiple choice exam, but it's 2 hours long and costs a little bit more, valid for 2 years, so it does expire. And then the highest level for Tableau Desktop is the professional exam, which is 3 hours long, and it's much more hands-on. It's a full practical exam where you actually have to build things in Tableau and submit them for review. That one does cost a little bit more. And it's valid for 3 years. And before you sit the professional, you have to do the associate as well. But that's something to bear in mind, and you can get all this information on the Tableau website if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, so number 8 is leveraging community resources. So, I mean, I've mentioned it before, but the community is just so powerful. And whether that be the Tableau community, the Power BI community, the R or Python communities, they've each got like a huge amount of resources out there. You'll find that people that are active in these communities are quite passionate about what they do. And it's no surprise, therefore, that they have blogs, they may have YouTube channels, podcasts, you name it. Everyone kind of just goes all out to share what they know about these tools. And with that, it's no surprise that there's just so many blogs and different resources. It's kind of a bit of a minefield to know where to begin. These are some of the resources that I've used personally, I found useful. I could talk about this topic just on the resources piece all day long. So this is a very, very, very narrow list, but some of my top resources. So if you're looking to learn Tableau or improve your Tableau skills, I would check out Andy Kriebel's blog, viswiz.com. That was my first kind of entry point into the Tableau world, and I found it incredibly useful. He's got around 1,000 blog posts, or over 1,000 blog posts on there, because he's been doing it for so long. So if it's not on his blog, I'll be very surprised. So definitely check that out. And then the Flurledge twins, so Kevin and Ken Flurledge, have got a fantastic blog with lots of different Tableau tutorials and also a lot of templates if you're looking to build some more advanced chart types in Tableau. So they've got these templates where you can just plug your data in and just make it as easy as possible for you to actually go away and build chart types such as Sankey diagrams. If you're interested in Power BI, Power BI Tips is a great site just with general tips around Power BI. And I found Guy in a Cube, the bite-sized videos on YouTube, really, really helpful. So Guy in a Cube is run actually by 2 guys, but they're both very like entertaining and they're fun videos to watch. So definitely check that out if you can. And R and Python, there's a couple of resources down here that are really useful. I'll call out the R Graph Gallery, which is essentially a big collection of different graphs built in R, where you can go and actually download them and find the code and learn how they were built. So that can be really helpful. Okay, number 9 is to teach others. So I think a lot of people say to actually confirm if 100% agree with that. So just by trying to teach something to others really does prove if you actually understand it fully. And you can teaching, just to start, if you're starting out, is to either write a blog or start a video channel. This doesn't need to be difficult. So blogging is becoming easier and easier all the time. So you could start just a blog on Medium, really easy to set up, and just publish blogs out that way. If you don't have a blog and you don't want to set one up, you could also publish through a blog such as Nightingale, which is the blog that's run by the Data Visualization Society. So you can actually talk to them and they can help you and support you in publishing a blog on their site. Or you could even reach out to somebody that you admire in the community and ask if they would mind, you like guest posting a blog on their site. And obviously video channel on YouTube may be a little bit more difficult to set up, but some people find that it's easier for them to teach people through video than it is to actually write it all down, because it can be quite time consuming if you're trying to write a tutorial. Another great way to teach others is to mentor someone. So as I said before, mentoringmeetup.com is a great resource to find people to mentor. So maybe once you're a little bit further along your journey and you feel like you could mentor somebody that's just starting out, that could be a good method for you. Another good way is to present at user groups and meetups, so just like this one. I'm sure Heidi would appreciate more speakers. So if you feel like you want to present on a topic, then definitely reach out to your local user group and see if they'd be interested in having you speak. The good thing about that at the moment is that a lot of these groups have gone virtual. So there's more opportunities to speak at user groups that don't involve you traveling anywhere. Tableau and other tools have community forums where people go and ask questions if they get stuck. Just going to look at those questions and attempting to answer them yourself can be really helpful and can help you learn new techniques. Quite often, if I've maybe got 5 minutes spare, I might go on the community forums for Tableau and have a look at the questions that have been asked on there and see if I can attempt any. And I find it's a really good way of just furthering my skills. And then another good way is just utilize your work network. So people love to learn. So if you're learning a tool at work and you want to share your skills with other people, you could perhaps suggest to your colleagues that you'd run a lunch and learn session. So maybe just a 30-40 minute session run during your lunchtime at work could be really good, just to teach people what you know or what you've learned in a particular tool. With no, people just bring their own lunch and there's no kind of commitment from anybody else to just turn up and listen to you speak. And let's just recap. So that was all 9 tips. So we've got master the basics, so build those strong foundations in the topics. Practice regularly, really refine your skills, choose projects that challenge you and things that you're interested in. Ask the right questions about your data, use trustworthy data sources, know that your data is complete. Study design fundamentals, so get good at things like layout, typography, color. Publish your work and share your work, seek feedback from others. Don't just produce work and don't share it. Engage with the community, so that's talking about engaging with others and leveraging resources that are out there. Get certified, prove your skills, get it on your CV, it might help you get a new job, and also teach others, so share your knowledge and give feedback. So that was my talk. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so on Twitter. It's probably the best way, or my email address is there, or my blog as well. But thank you to everyone that's come along to this talk today. And thank you to Heidi and the Data Plus Women Germany community.
Thank you, Sarah. That was an amazing amount of input, very inspiring. Thank you so much. So many great tips. And I hope everybody feels like me and can't wait to get their hands on getting engaged with the community and ramping up your skills. So thank you very much for that. And as Sarah said, if you are happy to engage with the community and are looking to become a speaker, please feel free to approach me. And we'll figure out a topic if you like. So thank you.
I thought you might appreciate that, Heidi.
Yes,
I know
definitely.
I can sympathize. As somebody that runs a user group, it can be very difficult to get speakers. So yeah, always reach out to your local user group and offer your services.
Definitely. Okay. So we do have a couple of questions. Sidel is asking, about the triangle you mentioned right in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you had 10 points that you had to distribute, how many would you give to learning data, learning design, and learning the tool? So where to concentrate your power on?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I'd say you need to give a good focus to the tool. So you obviously need to know how to use the tool that you're going to share your work with. And I think you need to understand the data part very well as well. So you need to understand how to get at data, how to work with it, how to structure it appropriately. Design is important, don't get me wrong, it's very, very important. But I think if there was one that you could afford to maybe skip a few points on, it would be that one. Now, some people don't have a strong knowledge of hardly any of them, right? So for me personally, I think when I was starting out, and even today, I'm not someone that's very technical. I'm not a database person, so I wouldn't put a lot of points in that data kind of bucket, if you like, but I definitely kind of make up for the points in the other things, I'd like to think. So it doesn't need to be balanced, but just I think a few points in each of them wouldn't hurt.
You mentioned a whole number of topics that you can get involved in, initiatives and blogs to check out and everything. With all the visualization work that you do, have you ever encountered something like writer's block, but for data visualization?
All the time, yeah. I'm constantly getting stuck with like no ideas. You see that there's pauses in my portfolio where I haven't done anything for a month or two, and that's probably because I was either really busy or just didn't have any ideas of anything to do. So yeah, that's very common for me. To get over that, I look at things like Pinterest that I find is really useful. So just try and get inspiration from looking at other people's work, other different forms, like other art forms, maybe just like magazine covers or news articles and things like that. But yeah, it's VisBlock is a thing. And yeah, it's I think you just need to change your mindset and just take a step away from the computer and look at something different to get rid of it.
That's great advice. Thank you. That was a perfect question from me. I encounter that all the time. I'll be honest. You've engaged so much with the community, like you're flitting all over the world and engage in so many initiatives. What was maybe the most surprising thing about the community that you've found?
I think that it's so welcoming. So I was very scared at the beginning and very reluctant to get involved. I thought I was going to be told, oh, you're not good enough, or you haven't ticked all the boxes to actually, be part of the community. But it's not like that at all. Like everybody's welcome. Even if you've never published a visualization in your life, you're still welcome in the community. Doesn't matter, where you are on that journey. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's willing to help you. You'll be surprised at the amount of time that people are willing to set aside to help you. So even if you reach out to somebody who you perceive to be this, superstar of the community, chances are they'll get back to you and help you with that.
Thank you. You mentioned that
you've reached out to them for help with. People are really generous. Sorry, no, I didn't say anything. My internet's cracking, so hopefully it will stay in there.
Yeah, I think you lagged a bit, sorry. You mentioned that the community is very generous with providing feedback. Is there any tips you would have about giving feedback to others if they ask for it?
Yeah, so I think it's important that you balance like constructive comments with some good comments as well, right? So you don't just say, oh, well, this isn't very good, and then not offer them any tips for improving that work. You need to go in with a positive comment. So I really like this. You've done this bit really well, but this could be a little bit better. Or have you considered doing this a slightly different way? I think it's very important that you word kind of feedback in an appropriate manner and make it constructive so it's actually useful.
Thank you. We've had one question in the chat that asked, can you repeat a bit about the differences between the certifications? It was a bit of a question about what's the difference between the specialist and the associate.
Yeah, let me just go back to that. There we go. So yeah, so there's 3 certifications for Tableau desktop. You're a specialist, associate, and professional. So specialist is the entry-level exam. It's 1 hour long, it's valid forever, and it's 30 multiple choice questions. It's worth noting with that as well that while they're multiple choice questions, a few of them are hands-on, so you have to go into Tableau to find the answer. So the question might be, what was the profit in Germany in December? And you actually have to use a visualization to get to that answer. And the associate exam is exactly the same in that sense, that you have 36 multiple choice questions and some of them will be hands-on. The professional exam is the only one that's different because it's a practical hands-on exam. There's no multiple choice questions. It's all in Tableau and you actually submit your workbook for a review. And a lot of that, I think with professional particularly, it requires you to have a good understanding of database best practices because some of the questions will ask you to almost make over visualization and just make it better. So hopefully that's enough information, but all of this is on the Tableau website if you need anything else. And each one of these exams has a study guide as well.
All right, great, thank you. I don't see any other questions for the moment. So I will start with just a few announcements that I have. All right, so as mentioned, we do have one other event coming up, which will be in 2 weeks. So this will be on a Wednesday for everybody who got used to Thursday events. This will be Wednesday, July 1st. And we will have Lena Reich of the Analytics Academy from the Information Lab in Germany. And she will talk about a bit of a hands-on topic. So she will give you advice about dual axes in Tableau, about what they're good for, why do you use them, what are maybe some drawbacks, and all the mischief and genius visualizations that you can achieve using dual axes. So anybody who likes Tableau or who would like to delve into Tableau a bit is very welcome there. Feel free to sign up under the link or use the QR code to sign up. And with that being said, I wish to thank you again, Sarah. This was an amazing talk. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really exciting.
And we do still have a couple of minutes left. So I would encourage anyone, I will stop the recording in just a few seconds. If you like, you can feel free to stay around. In a few seconds, I will start making people panelists so that we can network a bit. So if you wish to talk to me, or Sarah will be here for a couple of minutes still, feel free to stay around and just chat with us.